ChatGPT is the fastest growing app of all time. It has amassed 100 million users in 2 months. Now, to put this into perspective, Facebook took 2.5 years to get to 100 million users. TikTok took 9 months. So this is a level of growth beyond which we've seen with any app ever. It's absolutely fascinating. We covered this topic. We covered ChatGPT on the first episode of the year. We talked about how this technology could be hugely disruptive to all sorts of industries, all sorts of occupations. We also talked about how it could be a bit of a game changer for companies like Google with search engines. And there's been quite a bit of development in this regard. So, Baylee, today I want to focus on that point on search engines because it is very topical and getting a lot of press coverage. But let's start off with quickly recapping on what exactly ChatGPT is.
Yeah, sure. So it's an AI language program. Essentially, it's a chatbot, and it can answer all sorts of questions and create all different types of content. But what makes it truly quite remarkable is how good it is and how human-like the output is. It was all created by a company called OpenAI. They're a non-for-profit organization, but they have received quite large funding from Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, let's take on that point to Microsoft, because we mentioned this the last time. Microsoft, a large funder to this entity, we talked about how they could be the big winners here, because the speculation at the time was, well, if you actually took ChatGPT and you plugged it on to a search engine, and their search engine being Bing, they could actually suddenly have this really powerful search engine. There have been developments. I mean, we talked that this could be the case, but there have been developments in that regard. So maybe just a quick update on that.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly as you've just said. In recent days, Microsoft have announced a new version of Bing, which will be powered by an upgraded version of ChatGPT, which is even more powerful. And as you can imagine, it has caused quite a bit of excitement. And if you want to use that service, you've got to join a really long waiting list to get added to it.
Yeah, and to be honest, it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of excitement about this, because I do think this is a game changer for search engines. I think maybe using an example is a good way to think about this. I think search engines are quite limited if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. So, for example, if we use a holiday, for example, if I know exactly where I want to go on holidays, that's fine. I search for a hotel in that area. But if I'm not quite sure where I want to go, a search engine can be quite painful. You're searching through articles of the best time of year and where you would visit, if you're looking for X, Y, or Z. Using the kind of upgraded version of this, which uses the ChatGPT or an AI kind of plugin, what you can actually do is just give this search engine lots of detail about yourself, who you are, what age you are, what your family circumstances are, what kinds of holidays you like, what time of year you want to go away, what travel time you'd be maximum willing to spend. Just give all that information and then get a recommendation of, well, actually, you should probably go to this country because it meets all your criteria, and it can narrow it down. And I think that's the power of this type of engine. It can really, enhance that whole journey. So it's not hugely surprising that it's getting a lot of attention and it could be disruptive. I mean, what does this actually mean for the traditional search engine model, and I guess in particular Google?
I think that's a great example to start. But, really interesting that a couple of days after Microsoft announced the new Bing, Google announced a new AI-powered search engine called Bard. And that's going to operate in a similar way to the new Bing, although there's a little bit of media speculation that the Google version has been a little bit rushed and might not be as quite as powerful as Bing.
I mean, what do you think that is the case?
Well, I've spoken to our equity analysts that cover technology, and they think that it would be a bit naive to write off Google. Google have been working on this type of technology for years. But that said, they can't afford to lose here. They also have a 90% market share on search, and that's key to how they make advertising revenue. So they have a lot to lose. But when they announced it, there was a mistake in the live demo that they ran with an error in some of the data, and the share price fell pretty dramatically, around 8%. So it shows how closely people are watching.
Yeah, it is incredible. I mean, that there's such they dominate the market, which means they have the most to lose. I guess is the point there. I mean, look, I'll be totally honest. When it comes to Bing, I haven't used it much. It was a default in a place I used to work in, and when it appeared, I usually use it to search for Google, which is probably not what thing we're hoping to be the case with our tool. But I can see why people are getting excited about this. And when you look at actually the performance of Microsoft versus Google year to date, you can see that Microsoft is outperforming by quite a bit. So maybe it's the case that the market does think that Bing will be on the comeback and Bing is the more powerful. But let's see. One to definitely watch. Really interesting. We will be back next week. We will be covering the main topic that's caught our eye, and we will put a fund manager on the spot. Until then, see you next week.